Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salam tasliman kathira. In this video, we are going to review the activity that we had, or the activities that we had for day 3 of 5 in our intensive level 1C revision. In these lessons, we covered the predicates of plurals, or we covered the isms that have idafa. And we said that sometimes the ism can be plural while the mudaf ilayhi, or the possessor, can be singular, or vice versa, or feminine or masculine, and vice versa. And so what's important for us to do is to identify what is actually being talked about. What is the thing being possessed? Because whatever predicate we have needs to agree with that. It doesn't need to agree with the possessor. So here when we said ikhwa to Yusuf, ikhwa is brothers, Yusuf is a one individual man. Ikhwa is a plural, while Yusuf is singular, although they're both masculine. And so now we have to differentiate. Are we talking about ikhwa, the brothers, or are we talking about Yusuf, one individual? And here, because ikhwa comes first, then that's what we're talking about. Okay, so we're talking about the brothers. We're not talking about Yusuf, which means that the predicate needs to agree with ikhwa, meaning it needs to be masculine and it needs to be plural. That's what we've gone over. So we're going to be going through the answers for these. If you haven't already done this activity, then you will want to give yourself time to try to complete the activity on your own or with a partner before viewing this video. Okay, so we'll read the instructions. It says, choose the appropriate word to complete these sentences inspired by Surah Yusuf. Key questions for you to answer based on the item that is possessed. Should the completion be singular or plural, masculine or feminine? Choose the suitable choice from the options provided to correctly complete each sentence. So ikhwa to Yusuf, we said it's masculine and plural. And so here, hasid is singular, masculine. Hasida is singular, feminine. Hasidun is plural, masculine. And hasidat is plural, feminine. And so to match ikhwa, we're going to choose hasidun. So ikhwa to Yusuf, hasidun. The brothers of Yusuf are envious. The next example that we have, or the next question that we have, is abuna. So here we have abu, which is father, singular male, and na, which is us. If we're talking about the brothers of Yusuf, which we are, then it's plural, masculine. And so here we have male and masculine mean the same thing, so I don't know why I differentiated. So are we going to go for plural masculine or singular masculine? Because abu comes first, then we're going for singular masculine. So dal is singular masculine, dalla is singular feminine, dallun is plural masculine, and dallat is plural feminine. So we're going to go for dal. Okay, so, sorry, the translation of that sentence would be, our father is astray. Our father is misguided, yani in his love for Yusuf over us. تذكر إخوة يوسف بأمرهم حاصل في المستقبل. تذكر means to remember. So the remembering إخوة Yusuf, that should be إخوتي Yusuf. We'll pretend like that never even happened. There we go, because that's mudaf ilayhi, which is evidenced by the fact that we have one dhamma. So the remembering of Yusuf's brothers, tadhakkuri ikhwati Yusuf, bi amrihim, with the thing that they did, hasilun, will happen, fil mustaqbal, will happen in the future. So here, bi amrihim, we want to now describe this amr. Is it, so we have amr, the ba here is a preposition, harf al-jar, so we take that off. We have amri, which is masculine, singular, and we have him, which is masculine, plural. Are we talking about the amr, the issue, or are we talking about him? We're talking about the amr, which is singular masculine. We're not talking about him, which is plural masculine. So will we say bi amrihim hadha, bi amrihim hadhihi, or amrihim haula? Yani the brothers of Yusuf, the remembering of Yusuf's brothers about this thing that they did, this issue of theirs, will happen in the future. So this issue we would use hadha. Hadha goes with amr. It might seem a bit weird, but again, that same construction is actually used in the Quran. Again, this is a bedel, so the bedel hadha comes after the demonstrative pronoun, or the ism ishara, comes after the thing that it is pointing to or indicating, which is opposite to what we're used to. So we're used to saying hadha al-amr. Okay, but because we have idafa, then that can kind of change. That can change here, although it doesn't have to. Imra'atul Aziz li Yusuf. Imra'atul Aziz, the wife of Al-Aziz, li Yusuf. Kada, yani plotted against Yusuf, or for Yusuf. So we have kada, which is singular masculine. This goes back to what we talked about verbs being able to be predicates. Kadat, which is singular feminine. Kadu, which is plural masculine. And kidna, which is plural feminine, the noon with the fatha. Okay, we haven't really taken verb conjugation, so don't worry about how that conjugates. Those are things that we'll deal with in level 2, inshallah. But here, simply, you just need to know which one to use. So imra'a is feminine, aziz is masculine. Because imra'a comes first, this is the one that we're concerned with, so we would use kadat. Imra'atul aziz kadat li Yusuf. Number 5, it says mata'una indahu, our provisions with him. So mata'una, mata', even though we would translate it as provisions, it in its structure is singular. Mata' is singular. Wana means ours is plural. And here we're talking about the brothers, so it's plural masculine. So mata'una, we have matruk, yani left or discarded, just left. We have matruk, which is masculine singular. Matruka, which is singular feminine. We have matrukun, which is plural masculine, and matrukat, which is plural feminine. So here we would choose matruk, because mata is plural. Mata is singular masculine. How do we know that? Well, number 1, that's the original state of any ism. Is that the original state is that it's masculine and singular unless there's been a change. There's no ta marbuta. This is not a body part. This is not a woman's name. And so because of that, then the origin of it is that it is masculine and that it's singular. The plural of mata is amti'a. Amti'a. Ala wazni af'ila. Ala wazni af'ila. Amti'a. The next one we have is wariduhum. Wariduhum. So a warid is someone who goes and extracts things out or brings things out. So warid is on the form fa'il. So warid is singular and masculine. There's no ta marbuta on it. Hum is masculine plural. So wariduhum, yani the person who draws the drawer from the well. Ila bi'ri bidalwihi. He sent his or he extracted water from the well with his bucket. A delu is a bucket. So, sorry. So he was sent to the well with his bucket. Yes, the wadid, the person who the drawer from the well, was sent to the well with his bucket. So we have mursalun, which is singular masculine, mursalatun, which is feminine singular, mursalun, which is plural masculine, and mursalat, which is plural feminine. And so here, wadid, even though it's connected to whom, wadid is singular and masculine. So we would say wariduhum mursalun ila al-bi'ri bidalwihi. Their drawer from the well was sent to the well with his bucket. قال العزيز عن النساء. The Aziz, who is the wife of the woman who accosted Yusuf, he said about women, Kaidu kunna, your plotting or your planning. So here we have the word kaid and we have kunna. Kaid is singular masculine. There's nothing that takes it out of that. While kunna is plural and feminine, in your plot. And so here we have azim, which means great or awesome, amazing. Yeah, so we have azim, which is masculine singular, azima, which is feminine singular, udama, which is masculine plural, and idam, which isn't even from this group. Idam is bones, but I just thought I would throw that in there since it has the same letters. And so because we're talking about kaid, plotting, and it's because it comes first and it's masculine singular, then we would say azim. And he actually says this, inna kaida kunna azim. Your plotting is amazing, and how you plot is amazing. So we're describing kaid, and so we use azim. It now says amma niswatul madina. As for the women of the city, those who were laughing about the Aziz's wife, he says, فَمَكْرُهُنَّ and their mockery. So mekr sounds like mockery, and it actually kind of means that. So mekruhunna, and their mockery. So we have mekr and we have hun. Mekr is masculine singular because we have nothing that makes it plural or makes it feminine. And hunna is feminine plural. So, because we're dealing with mekr, do we use mesmu', was heard, mesmu'a, feminine singular, mesmu'un, masculine plural, or mesmu'at, feminine plural? Because we're talking about mekr, then we would say, for mekruhunna, mesmu'. In the actual ayat, it says, فَسَمِعَتْ بِمَكْرِهِنَّ, yani she heard of their mockery of her. مَتَاعُهُمْ فِي رِحَالِهِمْ, their provisions in their saddlebags. Okay, so we've already gone through mata' before, and we said that it was masculine plural, and we've seen this structure, so we're going to go with mojud. Okay, that was a freebie, because we had done the same word previously. Bida'atuna ilayna. Bida'atuna ilayna. So we have here bida'a and we have the na. Bida'a is feminine singular because of that ta. That ta there was originally a ta marbuta, and then it became a ta maftuha when we connected it. Okay? So we have singular feminine and we have masculine plural. So would we say mardud? Would we say marduda? Would we say mardudun? Or would we say mardudat? Because bila is what we're talking about and it's singular feminine, then we would go for marduda. The last one that we have is kabiruhum fi Misr. Kabiruhum fi Misr. Yani the oldest amongst them, kabiruhum, the oldest brother when Benjamin got kept back, he decided to stay in Egypt. So it says kabiruhum fi Misr. So we have kabir, which is singular masculine, and we have hum, which is masculine plural. Would we use lebitha, which means to remain, but it's used for one man? Lebithet, which is feminine, singular, means remained for one woman. Lebithu, plural masculine, remained. And lebithna, which is plural feminine. Because we're talking about Kabir, the oldest one, and he is masculine, then we would use lebitha. Okay? So with that, we've concluded the first activity sheet, which deals with possession. And knowing that when we look at possession, we look at the first word. We don't look at the pronoun that comes after, or we don't look at the ism that's connected afterwards. And by that, we determine the ending, whether it's a predicate or an adjective or what have you, because that's going to agree with that first ism. Okay. Now we'll look at the second sheet, which may mean that this video will be a little bit longer than we want it to be, but I'd rather put the homework together than to kind of mix it with the new lesson. Okay. So we have some verbs here in the box, and we want to choose the best verb to go with each sentence. So the first one we have, if you haven't already done this, you want to make sure you do this first before you watch the video. I'll go ahead and explain the verbs, and then we'll get into the exercise. The first one we have is baka, which means to cry. The next one we have is raja'a, which means to return. The next one we have is sa'ala, which means to ask. Sajada, which means to prostrate. Shahida, which means to bear witness or to give testimony. Dahika, which means to laugh. Kada, which means to plot against. Labitha means to remain. Mekara can mean to plot against or to mock. And wathiqa means to trust or to have confidence in. The instructions say match the verb above with the best sentences below to complete their meanings according to the events in Yusuf's life. So we're not making these things up. We're going back to what actually happened in the story, as captured in chapter 12 of the Holy Quran. Feel free to reference the story in Arabic or English. Change the verbs to the appropriate singular or plural, feminine or masculine forms, depending on the subject of the sentence. Okay? So here we have Yusuf fi sijn. So first we need to figure out which verb goes here. That's our first step. So which verb goes with Yusuf fi sijn? Yusuf in the prison. Here the actual sentence is well, it doesn't use Yusuf, it just uses the verb. We would use labitha. Labitha is our verb. Okay? So that was our first task, to pick which verb we're going to use, and we're going to use labitha. Yusuf remained in the prison. Okay? Now, are there any changes that need to happen to labitha? No. Because since the verb in its beginning is singular and masculine, and Yusuf is singular and masculine, then there's no change that needs to be made. The next one we have is Ikhwatu Yusuf bihi. Ikhwatu Yusuf bihi. So, Ikhwatu Yusuf, here we're going to use Mekara, and they plotted against him. Now, Kada could also work, but Kada, if you can read the Arabic, was used more with the women and their plotting. So we stuck with Mekara for what the men did. Okay? So here we're going to put our verb in there, Mekara. Now, are there any changes that need to happen to Mekara based on the subject? Well, Mekara is singular masculine, while Ikhwa is plural masculine. So now we need to change this verb to plural. So we're going to take that fatha off the end. We're going to replace that by a dhamma. We're going to add a waw. It's not a waw. And I keep writing it. We're going to add a waw there, and then the aleph. Okay, so that blocks that plural male from getting out, those men from getting out. Good. So Mekaru, they plotted against him. So that's how we would have to do it there. Ikhwatu Yusuf, Mekaru bihi. And so again, you're seeing again what we mentioned before, that when we have ilafa, that we look at the first ism and we don't look at the second one. Here it says Niswatul Madinati ala Imra'atil Aziz. The women of the city ala Imra'atil Aziz. What did they do? Now, we do have the word mekara that's used about them, but really they laughed at her. Yeah, they laughed at her. And if you look at dahika in the Hansword Dictionary, you actually find that it can be used with ala. So here we would first put our verb in there. So we're going to have to take some of these lines away, or it's going to go to the next line. So we have dahika. Okay? Now, here we have niswa. Is there any change we need to make to dahika? Well, niswa is plural feminine, while dahika is singular masculine. So yes, we will have to make changes. So the first thing we'll do is we'll take that fatha away. We'll put a sukoon in its stead, and then we'll add our... Can't find that noon. Looking for that noon. Where is that noon? Nope, that's not it. You have to forgive me, my keyboard doesn't have the... There we are. Okay, good. My keyboard doesn't have the Arabic letters written on it. This one doesn't, at least. And so I have to remember, and sometimes when my hands are misplaced, then it takes me a while to remember where they are. So our verb here would be dahikna. Dahikna. Not dahikna. Not with the aleph. That means we laugh. But here, dahikna is for plural feminine. Next one we have Imra'atul Aziz li Yusuf. Imra'atul Aziz li Yusuf. The wife of Al-Aziz to Yusuf, or against Yusuf. So here we would use kada, and she plotted against him. She schemed. That might be an even better word. She schemed against him. Okay, so here we're going to use kada. We'll leave it just like it is. We're not going to make any structural changes to it. And that's another reason why I chose it here, because we didn't want to make any changes to verbs because we haven't studied verb conjugation. All right, so kada, she schemed against Yusuf. So now, are there any changes we have to make to kada? Well, imra'atu is singular feminine, kada is singular masculine. And so in order to make it feminine, we're going to have to add that ta maftuha. So now it would be Imra'atul Aziz kadat li Yusuf. Kadat li Yusuf. Number 5, it says Rajulun min ahli Imra'atul Aziz alayha. A man from the family of Al-Aziz's wife against her. A man from the family of Al-Aziz's wife against her. And so here we're going to use shahida. And he testified, or he gave testimony against her. So we have the sheen with the fatha, the ha with the kasra, and then the dal with a fatha. Okay? Now, are there any changes that need to be made to shahida? Well, who did the testifying here? Rajulun. Yeah, a man from her family is the one who testified. So man, of course, is singular and masculine. And shahida, in its origin, every verb in its original state is singular and masculine. So there's no change we need to make here. So our sentence reads, Rajulun min ahli imra'atil aziz shahida alayha. Number 6, we have Sahibul Asir, yani the companion of the juice, or the wine, actually. Here we're talking about, in 6 and 7, we're talking about the two people in the dream. I wanted you to figure that out. If you didn't figure it out, not a big deal. So the person with the wine, yani who had a dream about himself crushing wine for the king. Sahibul Asir ila Yusuf li musa'adatin. Musa'ada is help or assistance. So Sahibul Asir, what verb do we use here? We use raja'a. Yani he returned to Yusuf for assistance. Yani in interpreting the king's dream. Okay? So raja'a. Sahibul Asir raja'a ila Yusuf li musa'ada. طيب, do we need to change raja'a? Well, sahib, which is the mudaf, and again, mudaf ilayhi, You look at the first ism. Sahib is singular masculine, and so the verb in its original state is singular masculine, so there's no change that needs to be made. El-Asir is also singular masculine, so in this instance, it wouldn't matter which one we looked at, but you really wouldn't look at Asir because that's not what's being talked about. So, Sahib al-Asir raja ila Yusuf li musa'ada. The person who had the dream about the wine or the juice returned to Yusuf for help. Sahib al-Tayri an manamihi. The person who dreamed about the birds eating from his head, an manamihi, about his dream. So here we decided to use sa'ala. Sa'ala meaning asked. So we have seen with the fataya. I'll need to speak all that out. There we go. Okay, so sa'ala. So the person who had the dream about the bird, Sahibul Tayr, Tayr is bird. Sahibul Tayr sa'ala an manamihi, asked about his dream. Now, do we need to make any changes to sa'ala? No, because Sahib is masculine, singular, and so we don't need to make any changes to it. Because the verb in its original state is masculine, singular. Number 8, Abu Yusuf ala faqdi ibnihi. Abu Yusuf, that's Yaqub, Yusuf's father. His father, ala faqdi ibnihi, about losing his son. Ala faqdi ibnihi, about losing his son. So what did he do about losing his son? He cried. Okay, so we would use baka. So ba, ka, and then alif maksura, baka. All right. So Yusuf's father cried about losing his son. Are there any changes we would make? No, because Abu is masculine, singular, and that is the original state of the verbs. And again, with a word like baka, I wouldn't have you conjugate that because it would be too complicated. Al-Malik bi Yusuf. The king in Yusuf. The king in Yusuf. Here we're going to use wathiqa. Yani he had confidence in. There we go. So the king wathiqa had confidence in Yusuf. Wathiqa bi Yusuf. Now, do we need to make any changes to wathiqa? No, because wathiqa is masculine singular in its asl, in its origin, and al-Malik, king, is also masculine and singular. Yusuf, the mother of Yusuf, ila ibniha. Now, if you use the process of deduction, then you'll obviously know what the answer is. But you might be saying to yourself, I never remember his mother being mentioned in the entire surah. Well, she is mentioned in the end, but she's mentioned alongside of the father. It says, وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ, that he lifted his parents up to his throne. And so his parents, and his mother and his father, were both up there with him. وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا, and they fell in prostration to him. So Yusuf, the mother of Yusuf, ila ibniha, your answer should have been sajada. Okay, so we'll put that in here. Sajada. Now, are there any changes we're going to need to make to sajada? Yes, because even though Yusuf is masculine, we're talking about his mother. So is singular feminine. So now we need to make the verb feminine. And all we need to do for that is add a ta maftuha with a sukoon. So Yusuf sajadat ila ibniha. Sajadat ila ibniha, or li ibniha probably would have been better. And Allah knows best. Okay, so those are the two activities that we've done for day 3. Hopefully you found those to be beneficial and they've worked well for you. We'll continue on, inshallah, with our next video in a separate video dealing with the day 4 lesson. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.